Hi everyone, my name is Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. So happy you could join us, and I'm so delighted to share with you the Daisy Delight stamp set along with the Daisy Punch. This is a bundle from Stampin' Up! That's now truly available. We've always had the stamp set available since June 1st, but the punch unfortunately was on back order. And so many of my customers felt a little bit of frustration about that because this bundle is so reasonably priced. So it kind of makes sense why it went on back order. But by purchasing the bundle, which is $31.50 US, you actually save 10% on both of these items. So again, it includes the stamp set and this wonderful punch, and it's all available right now. And so you can always go to my blog and find links there to my online store, or if you're in my YouTube video area, you can just click on See More. So this is the card we're going to make today. Of course, I had to celebrate the punch and the stamp set being available, and I wanted to also showcase the delightful Daisy Designer Series paper. And there was one paper that particularly intrigued me. And so let me just flip through and show you this paper pack. There's lots of Old Olive in here, Night of Navy, Tranquil Tide, Calypso Coral, and then this is the paper that I was very intrigued with. It's sort of a watercolor wash background with these large daisies. And so I decided that I would use that background paper to actually create my daisy. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is start with our card base. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2, and the color is called Tranquil Tide. It's one of our new in colors. So I'm just going to fold along the score line here. Let me bring my bone folder in to give it a nice press. And the next layer that will go on the top is a piece of Calypso Coral. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to run this through the Big Shot machine. Now, I did go ahead and do that in advance, and it's one of our new folders in the 2017-18 annual catalog, and it is called Layered Leaves. Now this folder is awesome. It's one of our deeply impressed dynamic embossing folders, and so I'm not sure if this is going to pick up on the camera, but all of these leaves are actually stacked at different heights, so there's a lot of dimension on this. I mean, even more than a normal embossing folder, and so it just looks great. So again, this is a little bit different in the way that you would want to run this through the Big Shot machine. So you're going to start with your Big Shot platform. You're going to put your dynamic textured embossing folder down with the paper inside, and again, this is the Layered Leaves, and then just one cut plate over the top and run it through, and you'll get this gorgeous, gorgeous impression. And so we're just going to go ahead and take some multi-purpose liquid glue. Even the back side is gorgeous, the deboss side, so you really could use either side for absolutely beautiful results. We're going to just set this onto our Tranquil Tide card base and give it a nice press. Now the inside panel is going to be very simple. It's a piece of Whisper White cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and then on the other side I just took a strip of that delightful Daisy Designer Series paper, a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4, and glued it along the bottom of this panel. So we're going to go ahead and just set this into our card with a little bit of snail. So I'm just going to put some snail on the back, and then we can set this right in here, the center of our card, and it is done as far as the inside panel. Now we need to do some punching with our wonderful Daisy Punch. So I just have a scrap here of Tranquil Tide. I'm going to bring the Daisy Punch into the picture and give that a punch. We're actually going to use this particular piece for our leaves. And then the next piece, just a scrap of this Designer Series paper, and we're just going to punch out, again, 2 of these floral daisy pieces. So let me go ahead and we'll set that aside. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do also just a tiny bit of stamping. We're going to bring this scrap back in. I'm going to get my stamp mat out. And then we're going to ink up the center of the flower piece and just stamp this right here. And then we can punch that out with our 1/2 inch circle punch. So let me bring the 1/2 inch circle punch in here and just give that a little punch. And then the next thing we're going to do is stamp on a piece of Whisper White. This is 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And we're just going to take the sentiment that we're using, which says, "Your thoughtfulness brighten my day." We're just going to stamp this right about here. Beautiful. Now we can go ahead and we'll just put a little snail on the back. And then we're going to set this onto a piece of Tranquil Tide that's 1/8 inch larger. This is 2 5/8 by 3 5/8. So let me go ahead and we'll just layer this up. And we have a piece with a nice skinny border all the way around. Then we're going to take some sheer Calypso Coral ribbon. This is 1/8 inch. And we are going to add a little strip right down here at the bottom. Trim that off, and then we'll just adhere that with a little bit of Scotch tape. All right, so you can see I just adhered the ends with a little bit of Scotch tape, and we just have this little strip of color right through here. Then to add an accent to it, I just tied a bow with the same ribbon, and I put a glue dot on the back, and we're just going to set this in right here. And the front panel is done. So now all we have to do here is layer up our daisy. And so we're going to do that by just putting a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue right in the center of that daisy. And then we'll layer this other daisy right over the top. And we'll just set that in there and give it a chance to settle down here so that it doesn't wiggle around. And that looks good. And then we'll take the center of the daisy, add a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to the back of that, and we'll set this right here in the center of our flower. Now we're going to add a couple of leaf elements to our card. So I'm just going to snip off 3 and then snip off 2 from the Tranquil Tide daisy that I had punched out. And I think we're going to probably scoot one of these over here to the left. And again, you can use glue, or in this case, I think I'm just going to use some Scotch tape to adhere that down. And then we'll do the same thing here to the other side. And so again, we just put these little bits of greenery behind our daisy. And again, a little bit of Scotch tape, and we have that down. So now what we need to do is we can just set this right here onto our card. And I think I'll just glue this on. So let me add a little glue to the back here. And then we can just set this right here. Stunning. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, to put it onto the front of our card, we are just going to add some dimensionals to this. As you can see, I've gone ahead, I've added 5 dimensionals, and we're going to scoot this in so that the right and bottom edges here in the corner are nice and even. And we'll press this in. Isn't it gorgeous? Now, if you wanted to put this on display right away, you can just fluff up this flower a little bit. Just take the petals and bring them up. And you have a card with a lot of fun dimension that makes a beautiful display. So here's the card we've just completed. Here is the card I had done in advance. Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate you. If you'd like to place a product order, please be sure to visit my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com. You'll find lots of tutorials there, along with links for my online store. Have a great day. Bye-bye.